thank you for joining us for You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and I have as my guest today Jane Gannon Sims. Jane is a nurse at the health department, and she has been instrumental in bringing Teen Maze to our community. Jane, tell us a little bit about what Teen Maze is.
Well, this is going to be our third year. We're real excited about it. The community has just taken this on as a big event, as a project. But Teen Maze is basically where all the first-time ninth graders throughout the public schools and private schools will be able to attend here at the Callaway Conference Center at West Georgia Technical College. They'll be bussed over and they'll get off and go to a party scene. And from the party scene, they go to a mock wreck. From a mock wreck, they go to drunk driving with golf carts and drunk goggles. And it's so difficult to explain until you actually see this. But it's a life-size maze. It's an interactive game.
Yes.
For these teens to be able to participate, and I call it the hands-on experience, where they actually get to receive a lot of great knowledge and education from the experts in their fields, from the police at the wreck and the fire department and the ambulance that will be there, to
the
emergency room, a tobacco station, and judicial station. We actually have judges that will be there. They'll get fingerprinted if they have to go through the judicial area. And some of the students may die at the maze, and there'll be a funeral for them. And then, but the ultimate goal is to learn about preventing pregnancies, STDs, and graduating on time in high school. So that's why we have such a great partnership with the school system, is that there's such an ultimate goal about graduating on time.
Yes, and so this maze gives the students an opportunity to make choices, even though the choices are pretty much scripted and given to them. It lets them make life choices in a safe environment, experience what the consequences of those life decisions are without having the permanent effects of those consequences in their life.
Right.
And the hope is that they will see what real life consequences are, and that will cause them to make better choices in life. Is that right?
Exactly.
That is. Okay, and let's just take the maze one step at a time, and I'd like for you to say, you know, what's the first scene?
Okay.
What you hope the students will take away from experiencing that scene, and then just we'll go step by step, and then we'll move to the next scene and say what they'll see there, and maybe some of the effects that it's had on students as they've gone through before. So let's just start. The first scene, they get off the bus and they go to the party scene, right? Tell us about the party scene.
Well, the party scene is through the Troup County Prevention Coalition about drugs and alcohol, and so that's going to be talking about being at parties and you know, how to stay away from those moments, peer pressures, those types of things, and why it's so important not to indulge in that behavior. There's also going to be a scene from the domestic violence with Harmony House there because there is date violence among teens. And we're trying to capture as much as we can in the short amount of time that they're here, for about 2 hours. From the time they get on the bus to getting back to school. So we only have that short amount of time to capture. So we're trying to get as much information out as we can.
So it's an action-packed party, right?
It is.
Yes, and they have the opportunities to maybe drink alcohol or take drugs, and then they also have that opportunity to see an actual exchange between a guy and a girl, where the guy
We'll have actors.
where the guy is is a little bit violent toward the
Right.
girl. And so, you know, we've all seen some scenes like that, and hopefully there will be some instruction as how to handle those.
Well, one comment you did make, they're not going to actually take drugs or drink alcohol.
Oh, right.
But it's just giving that idea
Yes.
of if you're at a party.
Yes.
From there they go to the mock wreck, and the storyline will carry on out to the wreck. So we have a policeman, and we have the fire department that will show up, and the fire department, ambulance service. And we'll have actors portraying the victims in that scene.
Yes, and that's a very powerful scene,
Yes,
isn't
it
it?
is. Mm-hmm.
And I know in past years there's been a grieving mother at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Will that happen again?
This year, because of my duties changing, and I'm more into the working at the health department in the clinic, the community has taken this over a lot, and so I've designated this and delegated some of the responsibilities. So we're still working on that piece.
Okay, yeah, but that is a powerful scene,
Yes,
isn't
it is.
And then after that, they go to the driver scene, or the driving of the golf carts?
There actually is a coroner scene where the coroner had made a video, and it's letting the students realize what impact it's going to be if something happened to them, and how they have to go up and knock on that door to tell the parent that something has happened to their child.
Yes.
And it's as real life as it can be without it actually happening.
Right.
So from there, according to the color bracelet that they will get, or wristband, they will then be dispensed to the drunk driving with the goggles and texting with the police department, or they will go to the judicial area where, according to the script that will be glued into their booklet that they will receive, that has got so much information that parents can talk to their children about. They may be fingerprinted. They may be put in jail according to the script.
Because they were caught driving and drinking?
Driving and drinking, or those scenes are being reviewed as we speak with Judge Little. She's helping us with this also. And Dale Armstrong's real great to help us from the police department. And then, according to the script, then they have to go before the judge and find out what their sentence would be.
And they actually go to a jail, right?
Well, it's make-believe jail.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, and so when they drive on the go-karts, and they have those goggles.
Golf carts.
Yeah, golf carts. And they have the goggles on. It makes them feel like they're intoxicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it gives that effect.
Yeah, and they drive, and the cones, if they knock down so many cones, then what happens then?
Well, according to how many cones they hit or knock over, that's up to the police to decide whether they're going to jail or they're going to their funeral.
Okay, and so there is a funeral scene,
Mm-hmm.
and so at that funeral scene, then the preacher actually preaches their funeral, right?
Mm-hmm. We have actual pastors
Yes.
who are here, and the students fill out their eulogy. My parents were. I wish I had accomplished.
Yes.
It puts everything in a past tense to give them the idea of what this would do to not just them passing, but what it does to affect the parents and the friends, community, everyone.
Yes, and I've worked in that scene, and it does have an impact. You can tell that it does. And there's a moment of silence in the maze when somebody has died in the maze, and you honor the life of that person. And what was impressionable to me is that sometimes when that would happen, you would hear the other students go, "Ah,"
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
and then while that's going on, of course, there are other people who have actually made it to the graduation stage, and you can hear the clapping and the cheering for those students who are graduating, and those names are being called out over the intercom, so everybody in the maze can hear that somebody graduated.
Right.
And at that point, like with the funeral scenes, sometimes I've said, you know, oh, wow, your friends are graduating and you're not going to be there.
Right.
So, you know, it really does bring it home, because sometimes as teenagers, you know, we feel like we're just beginning our lives, and, you know, everything's ahead of us and nothing can stop us.
And they feel no vulnerability about anything, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, and so it brings it home, and it is a sad moment to think, yeah, it's over. Yes. So there are other scenes in the maze. I know there's a date scene.
There's
a couple
date
of date scenes, right?
Right. And they'll either go to abstinence station, or which we are promoting 100%.
Yes.
But then there are the students who may become pregnant in real life, and so we have the pregnancy clinic, and they learn about not just that it's a cute baby bump, or that, oh, it's no big deal. They learn about the development of a child from trimester 1 and 2 and 3 all the way through, wearing a apron with rice that's donated inside to give the effect of a pregnancy. And then they have their picture taken. All of this goes in their booklet, and this gives them the effect of what it would be like to be pregnant.
And
that's for the fellas too.
Yeah, and that pregnancy apron or whatever it is weighs a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
How much does it weigh around?
We're putting about two 10-pound bags of rice in.
Yeah.
It's according to the size of the student.
Yes.
So if it's a small person, then we're not going to put as much in.
And then also when they make certain decisions, there's a crying baby in the scene, right?
Oh, yes.
That they have to deal with.
Well, after they have had the baby, quote unquote, they go over to the parenting section, and they're going to find out what they don't qualify for.
Yes.
There's still these myths out there that they're going to get a lot of services that sometimes they don't qualify for. And what we're trying to do is let the students understand what impact this would put on their parents' financial situation, just by their decisions. And so we're trying to also support parents on everything that they've been trying to already talk to their children about, that they're afraid and hopefully will not happen to them.
Yes, and you know, I know as a parent sometimes at the teenage years, they really don't want to hear that from the parents.
No.
But this is a fun, interactive opportunity for them to come in there with an open mind and just absorb those things that are being taught. You know, it's just, you can't help but learn, because it's you're experiencing it, and it's going through your mind. Your fellow students are experiencing it. There's lots of excitement in the maze.
But the ultimate goal, again, is to put on the gown that was donated, and they go across the stage and they meet their principal, and they get the handshake, get the picture taken to put into the booklet, because we want to see the class of 2017 walk across the real stage.
Yes.
And we'll be able to see the teen maze effect on the class of 2015, because we started it in 2011.
Yes, and there are other educational opportunities in the maze that we haven't even talked about. And I know there's a banking situation, a budgeting situation where they are able to come in and sit down with a banker and work through their finances, and those working through that finance helps them see that there's just not enough money sometimes to take care of a baby. And so it really brings real life circumstances home.
Well, and at that parenting scene, they're actually going to get a baby, and they're going, and it's all about timing it into the maze. So they may dress the baby, put the diaper on, dress the baby, everything, and get a carrier, and take the baby around to learn about the different services through DFACS, and how much it's going to cost to raise the baby, and having a checking account. just all the realistic things that have to take place.
Yes.
With reality when you do have a child.
Now, let's talk about when the maze is going to be.
Okay. We set up on Monday, October the 28th, and we have volunteers who help us set up. And then on Tuesday evening, there's going to be a scene around 5:15. We ask everyone to be here around 5, and then another one around 5:40. And those are the only 2 times that we can have parents come and view this, and it's a community preview night, to be able to come and actually participate as though they were a student, because we have to be out of the Callaway Center sometime that evening.
Yes.
So we are only allowed to have 2 times to allow everyone to get through and finish.
So is it just for parents, or is it for anybody in the community
The community, if they would like to come and preview, but it's not for students that night.
Right.
No students are allowed.
All right, and then the students are actually going to come through on what days?
They come on Wednesday, October 30th, and Thursday, October 31st. And the bus schedule's also being planned, and so I don't know exactly which school comes at which time.
Okay, but it will be all 3 high schools?
All 3 high schools, and then there'll be time for the private schools. And homeschool, anyone that has a child in any 9th grade can come through this.
Okay, and then
First time.
And then tell us about Friday.
Friday is has been opened up last year for Heard in Meriwether County. This year, Meriwether County is going to bring their students. Heard County is planning an event later on in the spring that ties into another event. So they felt like if they were going to be putting that much emphasis on one, they would just pull it together.
Yes.
So Meriwether County will come over on Friday morning.
That's good. Now tell us, I know this takes a huge effort.
Yes.
And, you know, even the first year was the hardest, I'm sure, because you were even making the maze, the things that would cause
they're made with PVC pipe and tarp that we had specially made so that they would for the sustainability and be able to last for many years. So we had those made, and they're stored.
I was wondering this morning as I was thinking about this interview, I was wondering how many hours were put into that first year of bringing Teen Maze. I mean, just your hours alone. I mean,
well, at that time I was the adolescent health youth coordinator for Troup County, and of course that funding was taken away. So I have returned back to the clinic and assisting as a public health nurse in the clinic. And that's why this year we had to delegate it out to so many in the community that felt like this was still a very important event.
Yeah.
But the first year was very difficult. I basically was able to handle it at that time because of my duties that I had as the adolescent health. And last year began to delegate out, but this year really had to delegate it. And the community's just been wonderful. We have First Choice Pregnancy Center, we have Wanda, and we have the school system, of course, and
Family Connections,
Troup County Family Connections, and Troup County Prevention Coalition, the police department, fire department, West Georgia Health is assisting us with the mock ER again. They just feel that that's such a powerful and important event for the students, especially if they have one to arrive into their ER.
Now, Jane, I know you do surveys at certain times. Tell us what some of the surveys from the students have said.
Well, just so I can say this piece, there's a parent survey that when they come through the maze that they can give us feedback. We have the volunteer survey to see how we can make it better the next year. And then there's a pre-survey that will be distributed at the schools before the event to see how much they do know or what they're thinking.
Yes.
And then we have a post-survey. And the post-survey was very important because we saw the comments that were made of, wow, I didn't realize this all could happen to me.
Yes.
And I want to graduate and go to college, or I think I'm going to abstain.
Right.
And abstinence has been a big piece in it, that they want to wait.
Yes.
And we're just hoping that we've made a powerful impression on them to get through high school and be able to walk across that stage without any of those consequences.
Yes.
Now, if someone has had a child, we want to stress, even in 9th grade, that it's very important to understand there's so many other areas that they can learn from. So it's not to be critical of anyone or to put anyone down in any way, not at all. This is all an educational event. It's to help support the parents for everything that they're trying to teach their children.
Yes. And what about volunteers?
Volunteers, it takes about 300 plus, and the first year we had around 400. If we have 350, we're really doing well. So it's still not too late to volunteer.
Yes, and some of the companies in town have really helped with volunteers, right? Walmart
Distribution, they've set up a table at their in their front entrance, and encouraging the folks, if they're available, to be able to help us.
And the Junior Service League has been really involved.
Junior Service League's been great. We've written a mini grant these past 3 years and have received money from them, so that has assisted us with the cost. The United Way has just been instrumental in helping us. This year we received I requested and got what I needed, and that was just phenomenal. We're so excited about the United Way helping us with this event. And Walmart Distribution, the volunteers, they're able to use their time and put it into a mini grant to be able to receive money back from them. And so last year, after the event, we received a check, and it was so great because there's ongoing costs that we have to pay up front before we start the maze. And so they have just been a great partner.
Now, Jane, you learned about Teen Maze from a teen, is that right? Tell me how.
I did.
Yeah, tell me that story of how you learned about Teen Maze.
Well, and if I can back up real quick,
okay.
The City of LaGrange has been wonderful to help us too. So I wanted to make sure that I included them in any of the donations.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Lair, that had been a principal at Troop High, had moved here from Cordele, and we were at homecoming, and I was talking with his daughter, and the next thing I know, we started talking about Teen Maze that was at Chris County High School, and I called and followed up on it and went down and visited and participated as though I was a student.
Yes.
And they were just great to assist us in helping us get this started also.
Yeah. You were sharing with this teen your concerns about the teenage pregnancy rate and also
the STD rate.
STD rate.
The pregnancy rate among the 15 to 17. We look at that particular group because that's the group that is still in school. It's most that's going to be our pregnancy rate, the real one. 18 to 19, they could have already graduated and got married. So we look at the 15 to 17 to not skew any of the rates through the state. And then the STD rate is 15 to 19. And we were really high in 2011, but we were looking at 2009's rates. And that's because the state's usually about 2 years behind because it takes that long to collaborate and get all of this information back and coordinate it and return it back to that particular county.
Yes.
So we're about 2 years behind on our information. But we are going down. but we're still not at the Georgia rate, so we're still above the Georgia rate.
So we're still working on it.
We still need to work some.
Now, did you show your shirt?
I did not.
Okay.
I brought one of the volunteer shirts, and this says, Troup County, the Teen Maze, Your Life, Your Choice. And so this is is also the logo that's on the book for the student that we give. And they get a packet with all this information and that booklet with all those scripts to be glued in. And so they're constantly being told, your life, your choice.
Yes. And Jane, with this Teen Maze effort taking so much energy and you having to work it in with your other duties at the health department, what keeps you going? What is it?
I want to see those numbers go down. I want to see those students graduate. I want to see those students not have to go through having those real life consequences to have to deal with.
Yes, and you work with these students on a regular basis, and you counsel them, and you've looked into their eyes, and you've seen the hurt and the pain when they have made those wrong choices. And so we're just so thankful that you're out there and that you're able to speak to teens and that they respond to your discussions with them. And I know that you have honest discussions with them, and sometimes parents aren't able to bring themselves to have those honest discussions with their teens.
Well, and I also discuss the medical, by these decisions, what it's doing to the body and medically. And but at the same time, I do need to say that all the nurses at the health department, we're all moms, so we all care about each and every one of them that comes through that door.
Yes, and that's so encouraging for us to know that there are people at the health department, I used to work for the health department, that truly care and can truly minister to the people who come in.
Yeah.
And so I would just like to say that we appreciate you, Jane. We appreciate what you've done in Troup County, and it truly makes a difference in the lives of those that you touch.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say thank you for watching You Make the Difference, because you truly do.
A year of replevin', got a promise from heaven, it's all coming